I don't wanna hear that everything is okay, 'cause it's not alright. I need a little time to find some peace.
Coming to you from Forager Brewery in Rochester,
We don't always get
our town.
It's not about where we are right now, but where we're.
Brad Jones from the Rochester Convention and Visitors Bureau is my guest today. And we're going to start with a little quiz.
Oh, lovely.
It's going to be Name That Town.
Okay.
So a few names here for you. Spam Town.
Our friends right down the street at Austin,
Ding,
Minnesota.
ding, ding. Great. Icebox of the U.S.
Oh, boy. I would say International Falls.
That's great. I didn't know that one. Cows, Colleges, and Contentment.
Oh, boy. I think you got me there. I'd say somewhere in Wisconsin. I have no idea.
Northfield.
Oh, Northfield. Okay.
Oh, this is a good one. The Big Apple.
New York City.
Yeah, my home state. City by the Bay.
City by the Bay, San Francisco.
Snack capital of the world.
The what? I'm sorry?
Snack capital of the world.
Snack capital of the world. Boy, I don't know that one.
It's Hanover, Pennsylvania.
Oh,
actually.
okay.
Yeah, think about it, the bag
Yeah,
of pretzels.
Sure.
Great. So we're here to talk about city branding. Can you tell us a little bit about what that means?
Absolutely. Well, I think, first of all, a lot of people don't know that cities have brands. We think of branding as product branding, like Nike or Apple computers, that type of thing. But cities do have brands. They're a little more complex than a product brand because there's a lot to control in a city. And so a brand, I think the easiest way to explain it is how somebody feels about something. It's an emotional connection. It's really your place in the market. Obviously Rochester has a brand, and we try to communicate that, and we try to use that and position our city to take advantages of certain things. So depending on who our target market is, or your target market would be, you would produce a brand, and that would tell us how to use that and how to talk about ourselves.
What do you think are some of the elements, the current elements of that Rochester City brand we have going right now?
Yeah, so typically in marketing and sales, you have a brand position, and that brand position dictates your values, what you stand for, your uniquenesses, and how to present or talk about something. And so a lot of people, I think, just see a logo and maybe perhaps a tagline, and not everybody always, that doesn't always resonate with people. But a brand in a city is how people think of you, and then if they happen to visit you or interact with you, how they feel through that interaction or through that visit, and then more importantly, what they take home with them and how they talk about you to other people. So a city brand platform or brand position is a little different than a product in that there are multiple touch points, and you count on a lot of other people to communicate and be part of your brand. So in our strategy, it's about aligning a lot of different businesses and organizations together and getting them to coalesce under something and help communicate that.
Exactly. So you just sort of started this new process of a new city brand. Can you tell us how you are in that process, any updates, and where the different organizations that are involved in putting this together?
Sure. Well, I think our current brand, Rah Rah Rochester, More Than You Know, has been with us for about 10 years, and we've learned a lot from that, and that was put into place for a lot of different things. And if you think about where we were 10 years ago and how people talked about us and interacted with us, so it's been successful to the point where we've had good wins off that, but we've also learned from that. So we think that today, now in Rochester, is a great time to kind of hit the pause button and do a lot of research and learn a little bit more and come up with what our next brand platform should be. When you look at our visitor economy, in Rochester, it's very focused, it's very direct. We kind of have three legs to the stool. Obviously, Mayo Clinic and patient visitors are a big part of that. We use sports tourism in Rochester as a big piece of the economy. And then we've made great investments, and we're looking forward to making more investments in meetings and conventions. So what we've really done is we brought those three legs to the stool together, and we're looking at that, and we're really forming a brand position. We're asking questions like, should we have one brand platform, or should we have three for each of those different market segments? So we're doing a lot of qualitative and quantitative research and listening, and then we will emerge with some recommendations. We have a great task force of community members and people that work in those three areas, and they'll be guiding this process. And so hopefully we'll be to a place that really articulates what Rochester is, what's special about it, and what our position in the marketplace is.
Wonderful. And you said that branding is also about these personal connections people have. And so how are you thinking about bringing in community input and making sure that the brand is really authentic to the texture and the culture of who Rochester is?
Yeah, well, authenticity is a big part of branding. You want to make sure that what you're saying is true, and what you're saying means something to who you're saying it to. So the ultimate disconnect is having a message and reaching the wrong audience with that, and that wouldn't mean anything. So I think that really starts with understanding our target audience, who we need to be communicating to, and then building the pieces of that brand so it does resonate and it's authentic to them. I think certain people get it right, certain people get it wrong, and specifically when you talk to a target market, they will tell you within the first 10 seconds.
Well, thank you so much, Brad.
Absolutely.
Exciting times ahead.
Our Town is brought to you in part by the following amazing people and organizations.
The new Clements Subaru proudly partners with award-winning KSMQ Public Television. Clements Subaru of Rochester. Clements' clear value promise is to make buying a Subaru fast, fair, and simple. Prow Company, a hands-on commercial property leasing company. Leasing commercial properties in Rochester, Minnesota since 1952. Realtors and brokers welcome. Prow Company. The Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund and the citizens of Minnesota.
And the members of KSMQ Public Television. Thank you.
Lots more ahead on Our Town. You may have recently celebrated Hockey Day in Minnesota, and Rochester's love of the sport is evident in the number of backyard rinks around town. We check out one neighborhood hotspot on this week's Walkabout. We learn about one Rochester resident's actions to save his baby brother in 1862, and we get a closer look at the current Rochester flag and find out why some would like to redesign it. Up first, we see the latest work of abstract artist Paul Wallach-Roth on Our Town culture.
They'll think either greatly of it or they're like, oh, he's just throwing paint on there. I'm not going to buy that. So I guess I'm giving my secret away on this. So I'm Paul Wallach-Roth, and I'm an artist. I gravitate towards the abstract expressionists. What I learned both in Winona and Chicago from painting instructors that were quite versed and very successful, try to limit your palette and try to be able to get a mastery of that. Later in 2016, I did a series of paintings that are black, white, and copper. A lot of times I try to limit whatever I'm painting to 2 or 3 different colors. You know, there's a contrast between these two. This is a much louder or more active painting, and this one's a quieter painting. And I try not to overpaint because a lot of times when something's raw and left as it is, it's typically a little bit stronger and it has more visual impact. A lot of times when people paint, it's an additive and a subtractive process. When I put paint on, that's additive. When I scrape it or I take it off or dab it or use like a solvent to reduce it, then it's a subtractive process. So I try to be active in terms of being additive and subtractive in the painting process and all that stuff. When I start the painting, I do not always know how it's going to end, and I'm a little bit happy with that because I believe that life is a dynamic process. Painting should reflect that. One that for myself, there's randomness in the world and all that. There's things that we just don't have an explanation. We try to explain things in human terms, but in terms of the universe and all that, it's completely independent of whatever lines, imaginary-wise, we put on them. So I want my work to be real and have a sense of life with it, to be spontaneous and very physical. Okay, so I know basically when a painting's done in two terms. One, I look at it and intellectually it makes sense. There's like, it has like a certain statement or a certain effect or impact that I see. And then I have to, more or less, I have to trust my instincts. And it tells me, don't do anything more, you're gonna goof it up. I get to a point where when I'm painting them, they're not working out. Like the black, white, and copper series I painted for maybe 2 to 3 months. And all of a sudden I just started like getting paintings that were like I was less happy with, so it's time to make a change. On the whole, people respond to, I think, if there's beauty in something that was stated and happened, even people that don't particularly like abstracts seem to respond more positively to my work than not. I want to be an honest painter. I want it to be my painting, nothing that's kind of like contrived or something.
For more information about this story and other Our Town features, connect with us on Facebook, Twitter at KSMQ #OurTown, or ksmq.org/ourtown.
One day of your life all over again, and unmake the mistake that left you a million miles away from the you once knew. Now yesterday's shame keeps saying that you'll never get back on track. But what if I told you?
Ever feel like you might have a greater calling to do good for others? Check out the upcoming program on the Peace Corps taking place at the Assisi Heights Spirituality Center on Monday, February 6th. The program will consist of panelists who will tell their stories about their experiences. Visit rochesterfranciscan.org for more information on this program, as well as other topics such as bread and ginger or exotic birds of Cuba. If you have little ones in the house, you might be interested in Once Upon a Playhouse. During the Rochester Area Builders Home Show, playhouses are on display for kids to play in and around, and maybe even win. Raffle tickets are available for $10, and all proceeds benefit Family Service Rochester's work addressing family violence. The home show is February 10th through 12th at the Mayo Civic Center. Come one, come all. Performers, poets, musicians, comedians, and all others are welcome to join in a one-of-a-kind open mic night hosted by concerned citizens for a creative community. Held at Cafe Steam on Thursday nights from 7:30 to 10:30 p.m. The event is free and fun, whether you get up and perform or not. A military hero and his wife conspire to seize the throne of Scotland. Modern-day political drama? Nope, just a little Macbeth being offered by the students of RCTC from February 9th through the 18th. Check out this classic tale at the Hill Theater. Call 507-285-7200 for tickets. Up next, let's play hockey on this week's Our Town Walkabout. Here, pass.
There's got to be 100+ backyard rinks in Rochester. My name is Bob Montrose, and this is the Montrose Backyard Hockey Rink. We've been doing this now, I think, for about 6 years, and it's just hockey's kind of a big piece of our family entertainment. And every fall, once it starts to chill a little bit, we just put some nails and hammers together and put this together. It's pretty simple construction. A lot of families in the neighborhood seem to gravitate to it. My wife Lisa is from Thunder Bay, and we met at a hockey camp, and she's been active as a player and a coach, and now kind of a great hockey mom. The backyard rink is about 30 feet wide by 50 feet long, so it's perfect for, you know, having 5 or 6 kids out. You know, you get more than that, and it gets a little crowded.
All right, let's go.
But the neat thing is you know, when you get into a small space like this, you really improve your stick handling and quickness with the ball or with the puck.
Shoot!
I coach the Rochester JM Lured girls hockey team and have done that for 6 years. So, you know, we get some of those kids over, and I've even helped with the Rochester Ice Hawks, and we've had some ice hockey events here where the kids come out and play ball hockey, and when they're done playing ball hockey, they jump in the hot tub. It's a great, you know, sport for kids to enjoy. It's keeps them active. For us, for our family, I have 2 daughters that play on the high school hockey team, and I have a son that plays pee-wee hockey. You look in the spring, and sometimes the grass isn't the greatest, and you know, we're not growing grass, we're raising kids.
Goal. A flag carries a great deal of meaning, and today my guests, Anna and Lee, are talking about what they'd like to see in a new flag for Rochester. Stay with us.
Our past, remembering what made us who we are today. Brought to you by the History Center of Olmsted County.
In the early 1860s, John and Lavina Eastlick moved their family to a small settlement on the shores of Lake Chetek in southwestern Minnesota. They lived relatively peacefully among their Native American neighbors until events came to a head on August 20th, 1862. When the conflict erupted, at least 14 people were killed, including John and 3 of his sons. Merton, who was just 11 at the time, managed to escape with his 15-month-old brother. Lavina went on to write about the event, which inspired Rochester panoramic painter John Stevens. Stevens invited Merton to travel with his panorama show. After touring, Merton made his home in Rochester. When he died, he was running a feed mill in East Rochester. For his actions that fateful night, Merton became known as the Boy Hero, a moniker which is memorialized on his grave in Oakwood Cemetery.
I know that the sorrow will come back tomorrow, but I'm ready. I'm gonna be grateful for everything that made me.
We wave flags at parades, we fly them above our buildings, and we use them to claim territory. Today we are talking with Anna Hopkins Folpe and Lee Herold about Rochester's city flag. Welcome to our town.
Thank you.
So what is wrong with our current city flag?
Here it is. Get a good look at it. Sure.
Well, flags are important. They're symbols, but symbols are important. Even sounds are symbols. Civilization is based on symbols. And if I yell out, "Look out," you jump right away. But if I say, "Oh, there's a possibility that there's some danger down there," well, that's kind of what you get here. Too much, it's not clear and direct. And flags are supposed to be quite direct.
Can you tell us a little bit about the history of this flag?
Yes.
It's been around since 1980.
Yes, and it was modeled after the Minnesota state flag. It's got Rochester symbolizing IBM. It's got the geese, not always that popular. And it's got the Mayo Clinic in the skyline, as it was back then.
And the text is a computer font, right?
Computer
Which
font,
is
yes.
Kind of typical of that era.
It's got 2 shades of blue, and it's got wording on it, which if you're trying to get symbols that you can pick up right away, and wording slows you down. That's more like a sign. You put wording on signs. You want a good symbol that's direct.
And what would that good symbol be, do you think?
Well,
where to start with that, right? How many flags are there in your shop, let alone in the world? Got some good examples.
Yeah, well, there's 192 countries. There's other countries. Countries have cities and towns and provinces and states. A lot of flags.
But we have some examples of, do you want to go through some good and bad examples?
Well, there's Chicago, generally recognized as an excellent flag. Amsterdam in the Netherlands, very direct. When you see it and you remember them, once you've seen them and understood them, you're going to remember them. There's the city of Ireland. They have a very wonderful flag.
Whoa.
Oh, this is a
Sorry,
fantastic
Anna.
flag.
There's the, that's okay. I'm getting used to it with a bear on there.
But
Jumps
you see
out
it-
at you, really.
Yeah, it jumps out at you. You see it, you remember it. Children can draw it.
Everyone knows the Byron Bears.
Yep.
And so why should we update our flag here in Rochester?
Do you want the long answer to that? I think there's been a groundswell of interest in it. There was the Post Bulletin article in 2015 about updating the flag. I think some of the local news stations have had spots about doing it. There's kind of a movement in the country to update flags because of the, I guess you could say, new urbanism, and people are, reevaluating their flags, saying we are embracing our cities in a new way. How can the flags reflect that?
You want a symbol that when you talk to someone in the city and you say, what does our flag look like? They will describe it to you. Not say, oh, do we have a flag?
Yeah.
They need to be effective. They have a purpose. And if people don't know it, if people don't use it, it's broken.
And now you talked a little bit about this new urbanism, and so there's these kind of buzzwords out there like placemaking and city branding, new urbanism, and all of those I think are really buzzwords right now, but they're also really about ways in which we think about our civic identity and
Correct.
about our communities. And so how do you think a flag fits into that conversation? And what would you like our city flag to sort of say about Rochester and who we are?
Well, I think it's a great opportunity right now with the Destination Medical Center initiative, where we're looking at Rochester as a city, but a city that's growing. We have a lot of new residents. We're a very international city. And so it's a great opportunity and a great time to look at some of those themes and say, what can we do in a flag to communicate who we are, but also who we want to be as a city.
And we have a lot of visitors. If you have a symbol that they will pick up on, they will go home and they will remember it, and they may want it as a souvenir of the city. It's also useful when the city is really under stress. It's a uniting symbol. It's something that it's above all our differences. We can agree on this. This is us. And it also needs to be something people can relate to, not just something that you pick up, but it's something that everyone understands. And we can work together under it.
We were talking about this with a friend who's from Chicago, and he said that the Chicago city flag is everywhere. So if you are in Chicago, you know where you are because of that representation. And we would kind of like to achieve that as well, in a way,
Yes.
with our flag, to say, oh,
Exactly.
I see the flag, we're in Rochester, we know what it means, and this is something that resonates with us.
So where are you in that process of getting the community input and kind of starting that conversation around getting a new flag?
Well, we're working
go-
on it.
Yeah, we're going to get started by having a public meeting, and people can come and express their thoughts, plus and minus.
The Art Center sort of stepped in. It was an idea we were kicking around as a design issue or design exercise, like you're saying, with the prototyping that's been going on.
Art could be fun.
Art can be fun. That's
And
right.
this is a conversation about art and design that we're having here.
Yeah.
And can you talk a little bit more about the importance of having it be homespun, about having local citizens be in charge of sort of, designing this new thing that's going to represent our city?
I think it's crucial. If the people are involved in creating it, they will be much more interested in using it. And if they use it, then no matter where you go in the city, you say, oh, there's our symbol. And it makes you more connected with your neighbors and with the community as a whole. And if the community is trying to accomplish something, that's, back in 1987, the Twins won the World Series. Now, normally you would expect it was a Minnesota accomplishment. You would expect to see a sea of Minnesota flags. And if you look back at the newsreels, you won't see a single one. That's what we're talking about, something that really connects with people.
So tell us a little bit more about this upcoming meeting.
Well, it's going to be Thursday, February 23rd at the Art Center at 6:30 p.m. And it's basically an open meeting. we plan to present sort of the basics of the history of the current flag and flag design, and see who would like to be involved, see if the general sentiment is we should proceed with the project. I think I'm getting the feedback that people do want to. And then we'll give our outline of how we think we should proceed with several waves of submissions over, it's probably going to take about a year.
Yeah, I would think so.
And we're going to have community input and ratings at the Art Center, and there's a rubric that Lee has. And then also we'll have a citizen group, I think, who are more tasked with really scrutinizing and looking.
That's really exciting. Thank you so much, Lee and Anna.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us today on Our Town. Last week, I invited you to join us on Wednesday, February 22nd for Minnesota Public Television Day at the Capitol. You're still invited, but if you can't make it that day, please consider sending us a note about why KSMQ and public television is important to you. We'll be sure to share your thoughts with legislators on your behalf. Thanks for making us a part of your life. Send those thoughts to rochester@ksmq.org. See you next week on Our Town, the show about Rochester.
Still breathing, breathing, breathing. I'm still breathing, breathing. I'm still breathing.
You can access more information about KSMQ on Facebook and at ksmq.org.